Welcome to the Intercut podcast channel, the weekly place to get the latest movies, TV, and entertainment that people can't cut away from. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, he's king of the world. It's Arturo Zurita.
Beautiful. I was worried you were going to get hit with a Merry Christmas, Merry Weathers, or whatever they're called in the club. I've been seeing a lot of people salute themselves in that way. I'm like, I get it's a meme.
It's such a funny name, my God.
It's too delightful. It's such a sick organization.
Hail Santa.
Really undercuts the nefarious nature of some white supremacy in one battle after another. We will get into all of that. But first, also with us, her dad always told her an honest man has nothing to fear. So she's trying her best to not be afraid. It's Amanda the Jedi. How's it going?
Thank you so much for having me, even though Leo would not have any of us. But I'm just happy to be here.
We've aged out of that age bracket, but we are still interested in Leonardo DiCaprio. This week we are talking about Leonardo Wilhelm DiCaprio, aka Lenny Williams. Did you guys the Lenny Williams thing?
Yeah.
The 50-year-old actor born and raised in sunny Los Feliz, Los Angeles, California, the only child of a German legal secretary and an American underground comics artist named after Leonardo da Vinci. As a teenager, he began acting, getting roles on failed TV pilots, soap operas, and short-lived sitcoms until landing a part on Growing Pains. Then in 1992, DiCaprio was handpicked by Robert De Niro to co-star with him in This Boy's Life as a rebellious teenager. DiCaprio would continue to be the troubled on-screen teen for several years, eventually earning his first Academy Award nomination for acting in What's Eating Gilbert, Grape. At only 19 years old, he was the 7th youngest person ever nominated in supporting actor at that time. The young heartthrob's life changed with a couple roles in the late 90s. Firstly, Romeo and Juliet from Baz Luhrmann, which helped cement him as the preeminent heartthrob of the 90s. And secondly, in James Cameron's Titanic, for which he had to turn down the lead role in Paul Thomas Anderson's Boogie Nights. Things worked out okay for Leo, as Titanic became the highest-grossing movie of all time at that point, earning 11 Oscar nominations, though curiously, Leo was not one of them. He starts to pursue projects with auteurs after that, acting in a Woody Allen film, almost making American Psycho with Oliver Stone, doing The Beach with Danny Boyle, which earned him his second and final career Razzie nomination. But in 2002, he turns down the role of Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 2.
Favorite fun fact.
Catch Me If You Can with Steven Spielberg, followed by Gangs of New York with Martin Scorsese, and the rest is history. The pair would go on to make 6 films together over the next 20 years, as Leonardo DiCaprio ascended to the peak of movie stardom, garnering 7 Oscar nominations as well as 1 win, working with filmmakers like Christopher Nolan, Clint Eastwood, Alejandro Iñárritu, Quentin Tarantino, Adam McKay, and now Paul Thomas Anderson, finally, starring in films that have grossed over $7 billion worldwide. In his more recent years, his youthful good looks have begun to fade, DiCaprio is taking on a more manic, nervy on-screen energy in comedic dramas with strong social commentary. But Arturo, given that DiCaprio has been making movies just about as long as any of us have been alive, what do you think about when you think about Leonardo DiCaprio?
That is funny. It's more than 25 years at that point. So his career itself is older than what he would date. I think that it's fascinating, especially going back to catch a lot of the ones where he was younger. This Boy's Life was a first-time watch for me this time around because I've seen so many people mention it. The reason we're doing this bracket, Paul Thomas Anderson mentioned that was like the first time he saw him. He goes, everyone will say Gilbert Grape, but I caught him in This Boy's Life. Fantastic, honestly, and there's a lot of things to pull up from there. Movie star, like I feel every time we do those brackets on like who are the remaining movie stars that can bring in people, it's always Leo. He goes by one name, either first or last, and it's always fascinating to see how he's able to give such great performances, very nuanced characters, but at the same time, they're so meme-worthy. Since his early days, dude, there are just clips where he understands the culture in a way that I think it's the reason why he's resonated for so long.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's just become such an icon, whether it's the selection of movies that he's chosen or just the performance he's giving in them. He is so identifiable.
You concur? Zach, do you concur?
I think we can all concur.
We all
You
concur.
know, excellent.
Amanda, do you do you concur about the things you think about when you think about Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah, he's just like, we have a handful. Like I put Brad Pitt in there too, but that's also a reason I think they work
Oh, yeah.
together now more, or
Yep.
just get mentioned in the same breath a lot. There's a handful of people that are just still seen as like the movie stars, but I think Leo is like the guy.
In high school, we used to have a sort of like denoting factor with these guys. Like if you could just say a bit of their name and you knew, like if it was Leo, if it was Brad, Jake was one of them for us. Everybody knew who Jake was, right?
State
But
Farm, yeah.
those are like distinguishing iconic stars.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know he definitely still is a draw. Like I live in a pretty small town and I went to like the early screening and every seat was taken. It's a small auditorium, but still I haven't seen a theater that packed for something that wasn't like a kid's movie or Superman or, Thunderbolts
and
in
the
ages.
fact that people say, I'm watching that new Leo. Like that's just how they know it. I'm watching that new Denzel. It has that draw to it because of him.
Yes, absolutely. Like obviously One Battle After Another has like the director juice too there, but still I think more people are turning up for Leo in small towns than PTA. But who knows?
I mean, that's the thing though, is like he's been with us for so long. We've seen him evolve. He was, the bedroom poster icon for so many people growing up with his like boyish good looks, and he then sort of took a turn into a lot of more action oriented movies. I think in sort of the early 2000s he was really trying to take on a more tough guy mantle. He grew the beard. He wasn't quite always had those like really blonde wavy locks. And then more recently, we've seen he has this really interesting energy in these movies where he's very funny, but the movies are also really serious. And I think it's really lends into that kind of memeability factor that you were talking about, Arturo, where he's just managed to find this zone where he is so watchable and so dynamic, and has made some of the most hilarious, like, small instances despite not being really known as a comedian.
Yeah, and I think it's funny to see how that reflects in his, what I would consider not his specific protege, but the person who took the advice from him, Timothy Chalamet, meme-worthy as all hell, but never really does anything outside of like pretty artsy stuff now, or at least stuff that can be taken seriously. Or so I do think it's interesting that we're kind of getting like the next iteration of that, following the same thing and the same rules of like no capes, no capes, no franchises, no capes. And I guess Dune's the exception, but that's different.
That's different, right? We'll call it I don't know, what's a different form of a cape?
And you're getting like
right? It's different.
An auteur director, and he's not asking you to do anything like crazy.
I think it's also interesting, like Zach was saying, that it's like he was a pretty boy, and now he's not afraid to be ugly, bro. He's like this and don't look up.
He embraces
He's disgusting in Killers, and it's fantastic to see him
I think
take those
he realized
zones.
that like he was not going to be able to compete with like Brad Pitt in that. So like, why be?
Right?
Because you can't. He was never going to grow up into being the like distinguished, I guess, maybe like the way Brad's aged, he's kind of look the same, and he kind of looks like kind of
fine wine,
same kind of thing. Whereas like Leo can tap into that, but he's not going to be. He can't be the pretty boy when he's 50. So it's like might as well go for like the serious, a little bit more comedic. Let yourself be quirky. Get really into this like character driven role. So I think that's interesting.
Is this the first time he's playing a dad? Has to be. Right?
He's played a dad in several movies. Like he was the dad in The Revenant. He was a dad. Even I was rewatching Revolutionary Road.
True.
Technically Shutter Island. Though I think this is the first time he's playing a dad to like a grown person, like a teenage person.
Where you see them interact.
Yeah, beyond regular little childhood type thing. So it is a very different kind of dynamic for him to be in the dad role for One Battle After Another. We've mentioned Brad Pitt a couple times, and that really is an interesting sort of analogous movie star to compare him to, because these are both guys who were really known largely for their good looks and were heartthrobs, but as they've evolved and really been able, but they're very good actors, but as they've sort of moved into this later phase of their career, they're sort of able to be more of the character actors that they feel like they always should have been. It very like Redford and Newman in that way.
Yeah.
Brad looks so much like Redford too, so it like really is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Do you lean one way or the other between Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio in terms of like your preferred movie star?
It depends on my mood. Like, I think if you're talking like the 90s vision of what a movie star is, I think somehow Brad Pitt still falls into it more because he just shows up with that like schmarmy little smirk and you're like, that's Brad Pitt, that's a movie star. Whereas like Leo's like, I'm going to be a little freak. Yeah. I'm going to be handsome, but I'm a little fucking freak. You know, if you just gave me a haircut, I'm going to look fine. But like,
what's the creepiest thing Brad has done?
Yeah, what's the creepiest thing Brad's done?
Yeah, like where has he been in that bag?
Like maybe 12 Monkeys or something like that. He's not.
Yeah,
you could make the case for Fight Club too.
Fight Club 7 technically, but
Killing
even
them
him,
softly. He's a little menacing, but he's also like cool, wearing a leather jacket.
I just rewatched Killing Them Softly. I love the ending to that movie. But like, he won an Oscar for his six pack, like even right now. Whereas my boy had to get swallowed up by a bear.
Burn after reading.
He's kind of a dope and burn after reading.
Yeah, it's where he's like the little weirdoist, I would say.
Yeah,
but
still it's different than the kind of weirdo that Leo will give you. Like Brad Pitt has never done anything like crawl across the parking lot to his car, drooling. Right?
Brad's yet to really let himself look like a loser, I guess, and it doesn't come across in the same way that like Vin Diesel and The Rock being like, we can't lose fights in movies where we have to fight each other. It's just like, no, I don't know if anybody would believe Brad Pitt in that position.
Right. It's harder to believe him as a guy who has been hard done by anything in his life, whereas Leo is now sort of evolving into a place where you can imagine that more, and he plays that really well. I mean, he gives us a lot of really interesting performances, and because Leo is a pretty selective actor who doesn't usually do more than like a movie or two per year, we've managed to fit every notable movie he's made in our bracket, with apologies to the direct-to-video Critters 3, his first film role. We're also leaving out his work as a documentary narrator, as well as his early work on the new Lassie and the Mickey Mouse Club, as well as other TV stuff off the bracket. Amanda, where do you think is the first time you encountered Leo on the big screen?
Titanic.
Yeah. Was that a home video watch?
That was a home video, but for us, that's considered. I'm trying to think what would be the first one I would have seen in a theater, but like Titanic was monumental, and I remember like me and my friend used to like pretend to be Jack and Rose, like it would just be a thing. I was Jack, but, like I don't know why that was such a cultural thing.
No, I mean, I think that is a very common experience for people growing up in the 90s. That movie was such a phenomenon. You hear some of the statistics about how long that movie stood atop the box office for more than half of the year. And there's no modern comparison for the dominance.
It would be on VOD today within the month.
Exactly.
Which is crazy.
Crazy. But it's still be in theaters though. Like some of those movies are hitting VOD, but they're staying in theaters. Like we still got Freakier Friday for some fucking reason.
It's like a Sinners like run, but exponentially more.
For the girly
Art, when's the first time you saw Leo in a movie?
It's actually kind of crazy because like I remember seeing him in Titanic, Romeo and Juliet, but those were at home, so not in theaters. Same thing for Gangs in New York. I don't think I saw that in theaters, or Catch Me If You Can. The Aviator is way too long to have seen in theaters, so maybe The Departed, but I would have had to have snuck in.
Like 12 when Departed
so I don't
came
even
out.
know if I can.
I think mine might have been Shutter Island. Like for in theaters, I think it might have been Shutter Island.
Yeah, I think you may be right, but that sounds ridiculous. That
it's like my parents weren't really like go to the theater type people. Like my mom would take me to some of the bigger franchise stuff, but like I've seen so many of these movies, but it was always once it hit home. So Shutter Island would have been the first one that came out that I could have driven myself to.
Inception. Yeah.
I think we're all people who fell in love with movies through like going to the video store or downloading films and stuff like that.
Double
VHS.
Going to your parents' VHS collection, like
exactly. Yeah. So I definitely first encountered him. I think it was maybe Catch Me If You Can, something like that.
Late to the game.
I was pretty late to the game because I think I was in a phase where it's like, oh, Titanic is a girls' movie. I don't need to watch that lovey-dovey stuff.
You're
so I avoided it actually for many.
Experience of your parents being like, "There's about to be titties," and like blocking your eyes.
No,
I always thought was
they
weird
didn't
because I was like, "I'm a woman. Why can't I see?" What do you mean?
You should know what those are.
Yeah, just because I'm 7 doesn't mean I can't see them. Like, you didn't have the experience of the second VHS cassette starting with the slap. It's like it stops and the first thing is the slap. So they're like, we're going to make sure you're fucking awake for this.
Yeah, by the time I watched Titanic, it was already available on DVD. So that's experience is foreign to me. I think the first time that I watched it on the big screen, I got a invite to see The Departed early in theaters and lied about my age in order to get into it.
Shit.
So they were doing like those test screenings that they do.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty awesome experience for sure. And it's been, a wild ride with DiCaprio since then.
He's been decent.
Okay, so in a little bit, we will try to answer the question of what is the best Leonardo DiCaprio movie with our Leonardo DiCaprio movie bracket. But first, make sure you subscribe to the Intercut podcast, either the video podcast on youtube.com/intercutpod or the audio podcast available on most podcatchers. Also, follow Intercut on social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We are at IntercutPod. That's at IntercutPod, and that is short for podcast. You can also support the show for as little as $3 a month right here on YouTube by clicking the join button to become a member or going to patreon.com/intercutpod to sign up and join the Intercuties, where you get early access to episodes like this one right here, access to an exclusive chat channel on our Discord, and an invitation to our monthly Intercutie video calls. Also, shout out to our awesome patrons whose names you can read on the screen right now if you're watching us. Our Academy level members are Cademan, Connor, Tushar, May, Ricky, Rob, Mark from Tampa, Max, and David. And our producer level members are Josh, Bleepy, and Nick. Also, be sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because if we get to 250 5-star reviews on Apple, we'll sit around and watch some Rick Dalton movies together and point at the screen during our favorite parts, just like we always do. Okay, time to talk about the best acting we've ever seen in our whole lives. This is the Leonardo DiCaprio bracket. 30 features, 1 short, and 1 music video. That's a high number of DiCaprio broad. I have a joke here about the age of his model girlfriends. I feel like we've been hitting that too much. I need to skip it over. We start things off with... I've aged out of using that joke. We start things off with his most popular movie on Letterboxd versus the least popular one to make the cut. And it's not even a movie. We are going with Inception versus Earth by Lil Dicky. It's not a large part. It's not a large part. I think he has 5 words of dialogue in this whole thing, but he co-starred. He co-stars with Justin Bieber and Joel Embiid, the illustrious pair of actors.
Mm-hmm. He's the only one who doesn't play an animal, technically.
Well, Kevin Hart doesn't play an animal.
Kevin Hart is damn near wild. He's too wild out there. I clicked this thing, right? There are some things I will never see in my life if it's not for these brackets. I clicked this thing and it has 500 million views.
500 million?
Who on earth, bro? Now, I open it up.
You're missing the power of Lil Dicky, my guy.
Nah. I open it up. Ariana Grande. I don't know how. I guess, the power of Lil Dicky to get everybody together to just do a voice for every single animal on Noah's Ark. And then this man comes in actually animated. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, there's no way it's going to be him. And it's him. Inception, bro. What?
I think it's a really tough choice.
Really tough choice. I think we're going to go with Inception for this one.
We'll have to settle. Yeah.
Amanda, had you seen Earth by Lil Dicky before we had to watch it for this bracket?
Yes, I did. I think I'd already seen it.
I had somehow missed it, so I made sure to catch up so I can be a completist. I wasn't full completist because our next matchup, unfortunately, one of them isn't streaming. It's the Basketball Diaries versus the Aviator. So Amanda, as the only one of us who's seen Basketball Diaries recent enough to have thoughts on it, why should we be considering this one for the next round?
We say recent enough. I'm realizing it's potentially been 20 years.
Fun, very fun.
No, it's just really good. It was one of those it premiered at Sundance, so it's like one of those ones that really came out of that. I think it had mixed reviews, but it's one of those ones that's really kind of found its like the people who like it really, really like it. It's interesting to see the combination of Leo, like the clean cut suit, but then falling into addiction and different things like that. And just another one of those movies that lets you know that he he had it like early on, like it was, you know, mid 90s when that came out. And it really kind of like set the course of like what you realized he could do. So like just kind of like proving that he wasn't just like the one trick pony out of like What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Because that would have been, that absolutely was before that, right? Like, absolutely. Yes, it was 2 years before. But yeah, so like that was like the last thing that had come out was Gilbert Grape. And then Basketball Diaries followed it up immediately. So it was like, okay, this guy actually, regardless of how you feel about the movie, this guy's got something.
Also interesting that would have been with Mark, who would go on to do Boogie Nights, like you were mentioning earlier, over him.
Right. An interesting sliding doors moment. But yeah, I think this is one of those early movies that, for a lot of people, proved his chops as a leading man. So
Yes.
I know a lot of people have a fondness for it, but it is up against The Aviator, which I know for both me and Arturo is like a really important part of his filmography.
Way of the future, baby.
The Way of the Future.
It's a great movie. I'm fine with it going to Aviator for sure.
Killers of the Flower Moon versus Body of Lies. Killers, the 2023 Martin Scorsese film, versus Body of Lies, which was directed by Ridley Scott in 2008, co-starring DiCaprio and Russell Crowe. It's a movie where DiCaprio is part of the CIA on the hunt for the mastermind of some terrorist attacks, and it's kind of a fairly run-of-the-mill action thriller with some political stuff going on, but I wouldn't say it's like one of the more memorable movies in his filmography.
It's not. It's one of those ones that I was like, have I seen that? It sounds so familiar, but I don't remember Leo being in it. And then you look at the cover and you're like,
it's like it looks like all of the other ones that are just like it, and they all
and it's
kind
like
of
the
blend in
Bourne
together.
series came out on top. So.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think we are safe to go with Killers of the Flower Moon in this matchup. Next up is J. Edgar, the 2011 film directed by Clint Eastwood, versus Catch Me If You Can, the 2002 film directed by Steven Spielberg. I feel like there was a lot of hype around J. Edgar when it was coming out.
Too much.
First collaboration between Leo and the legendary Clint Eastwood, this biopic about one of the most interesting men in American history. And that movie's a real dud. That movie does not work at all for me.
I think I remember liking it, actually, like a fair amount.
Really?
Because I remember watching it in college, but it was like at home. And I think I was just getting back into watching a bunch of movies. So I do remember liking it a lot, but I haven't watched it again since then.
What about it? Because is this the one? It's like mostly in court, right?
There's a lot of
him like yelling all the time. But he's basically just kind of like, we have to do this to protect America.
Yeah, it's sort of touched the whole founding of the FBI and I think the FBI, right?
It was the FBI. Yeah, he's the head of the FBI, but then it was like I think he laid the groundwork for what they ended up letting. I know CIA was all that, but still, it was like what he got away with making the FBI is where there was a lot of precedent to get away with doing like the NSA and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then there's also a lot of his sort of like illicit love life where was it that he liked to cross-dress or that Army Hammer was cross-dressing for him? I forget. Exactly.
I don't remember anymore. That's how little I'm remembering about this right now. I used to be on the up and up. I remember I watched the movie and I was like, I need to learn everything about J. Edgar Hoover. Because at the time I was in school to like be a detective, which is a weird thing to say, but like you don't go to school to be a detective. You take other classes and then you do that. But I was like, okay, cool. The FBI, what's going on behind here? And I'm like, those dirty bastards. Look at what they're doing.
It was also a run of Clint making really mid movies hereafter.
Yeah.
Trouble with the Curve.
Yeah.
I was a big Clint Eastwood fan, and this one, I was way overhyped for it, and it did not do it for me.
Maybe that's my thing. I had no hype going into it, so I was like, oh, this is interesting.
But you also had a different angle from it, which makes more sense because, like, they were pitching this, as Zach was saying, as the collaboration. Like, even with one battle, it's like, who is he missing on his repertoire of directors to work with?
Infinity Stones, yes, yeah.
People wanted, I guess, just more out of it, but I'll have to give
Catch
this
Me
one
If
a
You
rewatch.
Can is like a perfect movie.
Unbelievable.
Also about the FBI, but also a lie. But it's still great.
I think it's an easy win for Catch Me If You Can here. Let's talk about Django Unchained versus Total Eclipse. Total Eclipse, another Leo film that unfortunately is just not available streaming, not to rent, not for free with a service, just not available. The film from 1995, directed by Agnieszka, sounds really interesting. I'd love to
say.
It.
You saw who the director is?
Yeah,
Green Border?
Agnieszka Holland with the
Yeah.
Green Border, and then Franz is on the festival circuit right now. She's
Hell
probably the
yeah,
most
bro.
famous Polish female director.
Must
That's
be.
fascinating. Also, if I'm not mistaken, probably one of the only female directors that he's worked with. I don't know if he's
That's
worked
actually a
with.
really good point.
Ooh.
I can't think of many others.
Ooh.
I think she's a baller, bro. She is fire. I think
Yeah.
she's a great director.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting that he did cross paths with her early on.
Nice. Unfortunately, we haven't seen it, so let us know in the
It's
comments
just
if we're
not
missing
available.
out here. Would definitely love to hear people's opinion
Won't
on.
be the only Leo movie that seems to be disappeared out there.
Yeah.
Right.
But Django, you know?
Yeah,
Django.
it's
Django.
also I would be surprised if we chose Total Eclipse over Django anyway. We will get into Django in a bit. Our next matchup, I'm very curious to see how people fall on it, particularly because one of them is a really recent film. We're talking about One Battle After Another versus The Revenant. The Revenant, of course, the movie that Leo won his Oscar for, a 2015 collaboration with Alejandro González Iñárritu, in which he plays the frontiersman Hugh Glass, set on a path of vengeance in the 1820s. This is a really physical role. It's a role that involves him putting himself through a lot and pretty extreme conditions. I think this might be the last person who won an Oscar for kind of doing extreme physical alterations to themselves, right? Like that seems like a slightly less popular mode of Oscar campaign than it was maybe 15, 20 years ago.
And it also feels like that's not why he got it. It's like they got it because they're like, fuck, we should have given it to him last year. Oh, God. Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mixture of he put himself through a lot for this role. He's always a really compelling on-screen presence. And it's just been so many times where it felt like he was in the running or could have won one. I think he had been nominated for this was his 5th Oscar nomination at that point.
Yeah. And it was also after Wolf, like one of the biggest snubs for people. So it definitely felt like they were making up for it. Iñárritu coming off of Birdman, I don't think he had anything in between that. So
I think you're right.
I see why they thought it was the one to give it to him for, but you take that bear scene. And it does not compare to my man crawling at the dojo. One battle after another.
No.
You know? Physicality.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is pretty clearly a win for One Battle After Another. I don't know about the two of you.
No, I agree.
Okay, so Paul Thomas Anderson's film advances, and interesting, one of Leo's most notable roles, the one that won him an Oscar, does not get out of our first round. I hope people agree with us on that one. They should.
I think.
Yeah. Let's talk about Romeo plus Juliet versus The Beach, two of his early heartthrob projects. Romeo and Juliet, of course, his collaboration with Baz Luhrmann, the sort of modernization of the classic Shakespearean story. And then you got The Beach, the Alex Garland written, Danny Boyle directed, Lord of the Flies inspired teen drama, a really wild movie that I think I maybe like a little bit more than its reputation. It's also interesting because I think this is one of the early kind of unhinged Leo performances. He goes real wacky in this movie in a way that would become more familiar recently, but was not the thing he was known for in like the 90s or early 2000s. I don't have a strong feeling either way on this one.
Me neither, oddly enough. I think Romeo and Juliet probably should go forward just because of its stake in his career.
Yeah, I'd go Romeo as well.
Romeo, his image from Romeo and Juliet was probably plastered onto more bedroom walls.
It's fire. Yeah.
You can also get like really weird, like my friend has weird nail art that has like a bunch of people from that movie on it that just came from somewhere in China. So if it had enough of a cultural thing that you can get like Claire Danes and like Leo and just different like Mercutio for nail art, like I think you got to give it to that one.
Better collab with Boz too. But The Beach, Tilda's interesting in the movie, and there's a line that he says in The Beach, having caught it recently, where it feels like early Wolf of Wall Street when he gets attacked by the shark, and he goes, "I'm not going anywhere." And I'm like, "Oh, all right, you always had it in you."
Yeah, I would love to see him work with Alex Garland. Outside of just being the script,
that'd be awesome.
I would really like to see him. Yeah,
that'd be great.
Because it was a book. Garland wrote the book actually that got adapted to the screenplay.
All right, so we'll pick Romeo plus Juliet in that matchup and talk about Celebrity versus Shutter Island. Celebrity is a 1998 film directed by Woody Allen. Not one of the more well-known or celebrated films in Allen's legacy, although DiCaprio is a pretty solid part of it. The story of sort of a writer at a career standstill, which is kind of the log line you could use for half of Woody Allen's filmography. It's ultimately just a more forgettable movie than Shutter Island, even though I don't think this is either of these directors at their best. Shutter Island is probably still much better.
Shutter Island is also significantly better as a book. So,
hey,
I've never read.
I'm gonna believe you because I think Shutter Island's decent. But I felt like the whole premise of what you go into Shutter Island for, like that's supposed to wow you, kind of missed me. And I think it might have worked better
as a book. It's so fucking good. Oh my god,
I'm gonna have to check that out. But people love Shutter Island. People treat Shutter Island like it's their Sixth Sense to a degree.
Yeah,
but it's up there. But maybe it's because I had read the book before seeing it. But I was just like, this should have been better. But that guy's like one of my favorite authors too. He also did Mystic River. Yeah, same writer, same author.
Interesting.
And the book's incredible. Ooh. The book's incredible.
Oh, hell yeah, bro.
Yeah,
that's a very, classic right there.
Very good writer. So you gotta check out those books. They're really good.
We were talking when Mystic River come out because we were talking about me being too young. Guaranteed, I went into Mystic River too young.
It was like 2022, 2002,
2003.
2003.
Love that
2003,
movie, bro. Yeah, I had no business being in
You're
a
like
theater
8,
for that.
and you're like, yeah, dead
that's
body.
Yeah, run that back. Also, Clint Eastwood, but Celebrity, dude. Donald Trump pops out. I think the whole thing's on YouTube. Donald Trump pops out. I was like, what is this man doing in here? I go to see the behind the scenes. They couldn't say a word correctly, and they asked Donald Trump, how do you pronounce this? And he just straight up confidently gave him the wrong pronunciation. That's what ends up in the movie. And the only reason he's in it is because he's like, you put me in a cameo, you get to film in my buildings.
That was the Home Alone policy too.
That was literally the Home Alone thing too. Yeah.
Crazy, but hey, I guess he was able to sneak in a Woody Allen role, just like Timmy was able to sneak in a Woody Allen role right before.
Another thing.
You saw Woody Allen's back? We'll have to talk about that another time.
I saw on Bill Maher's podcast.
Hour and a half he gave him. Crazy.
Yeah, that's off.
Zach's interviewing him next week.
Stay tuned. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, everything else was just a warm up for the Woody Allen interview. All right, the next matchup is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood versus Don's Plum. Don's Plum is a 2001 film directed by R.D. Robb that stars Kevin Connolly, Tobey Maguire, and Leonardo DiCaprio. A couple members of the Pussy Posse in there. Leo and Tobey agreed to be in a short film. So when R.D. Robb ultimately tried to put a feature of this out, they sued to prevent the film's release. I think it had popped up online sometime in 2016, and it's sort of been like a legal back and forth since then. It is up on YouTube right now if you are curious, but I'm warning you, you should not be curious. I watched Don's Plum to prepare for this bracket, and it is a really interesting artifact of its time. It came out in 2001, and it feels very 2001. It feels very much like some of the early mid 90s Sundance vibes. And to me, this is a movie that looked at Clerks and looked at Swingers and just took the worst parts of both those movies and put out this just absolute dumpster fire. It is really pretentious, really indulgent. It's a group of young people hanging out at their favorite diner, Don's Plum, and just having conversation. It's a little coffees and cigarettes in that way, but just
they're picking up girls and stuff.
Just a bad version of it. It feels like it's a bad Entourage prequel. It's really weird.
Okay.
Yeah, I searched up the making of after I saw Zach had posted his review on it, and you had it on the money. The producer starts talking about, we saw Clerks, and we're like, let's do that. Never started.
I didn't even do that.
Yeah, it is literally like not even a Sundance movie, but someone who wanted to be a Sundance movie.
Yeah.
They pitched it to them with the easiest ego trip of all. You guys write the script. You guys improv it. And all three said, yes, please. There is a scene in here where he argues with a girl, and the girl was not in on the bit. She was disgusted by their ad-libbing because he calls a waitress fat. when she leaves, she does physically throw something at Leo. Leo physically throws something at her. And you could see for a second him break character, and I understood why he had a disposition that's out there that you can watch where he wanted to take down this movie. So now, ironically, Barbara Streisand effect, it's the movie that Leo doesn't want you to see, and it having that title, I think, is, like Zach said, garnered a lot of views out of YouTube. Crazy project. Very
incredible.
He puts fake teeth on.
Oh no, it's never a good sign.
It is kind of a fascinating document of these guys at this time, and maybe the most revealing look at what it was like to be Leonardo DiCaprio at the height of his like heartthrobbness, that when he probably could get any girl he wanted. Not like you said, not necessarily the most flattering look.
Oh, one last one, bro. Do you want to know how I got funded?
How?
The producer's dad invented the Happy Meal.
What?
That's awesome.
That's what he said. He said whatever money he got from the Happy Meals from his dad, that's what made this. But they were not happy.
That's crazy.
Just amazing. A weird movie overall.
Very weird movie. It loses to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Rightfully.
And we'll move on to Revolutionary Road versus Gangs of New York. I rewatched Revolutionary Road probably for the first time since it came out in 2008. Directed by Sam Mendes. Score, bro. Yeah, you wanted me to up it up a couple more stars.
I need you to up it, bro.
So this is a movie about a young couple moving to the suburbs of Connecticut in the 1950s, and it's sort of a movie about the like failed promise of the American dream, the idea of starting a nuclear family and moving to the suburbs and finding prosperity in that domesticity. But I don't know, it's just a little bit like not that revelatory. It's very like cliched and melodramatic. It is elevated by starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet in their first film together post Titanic. It also has Kathy Bates, Catherine Hahn, David Harbour, years before I knew either of their names, and Michael Shannon in the only role he was nominated for an Oscar for.
Ridiculous.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. That's bad.
Amazing cast. If only the script was as amazing as its cast. I'm a solid. This movie's just okay. Art, I know that you kind of think this movie is pretty solid.
I like the performances in it. I like Chase's review. I now understand why she left on the plank. Yeah, it's decent. I like them coming at it. I want to see them reunite again. That would be fantastic to me. You know, we need another.
I don't know if she would.
It's been like, you don't think so?
I don't know.
What'd you say?
I don't know. I just feel like I've heard her say things that make me think she wouldn't, but I don't know.
Damn.
Maybe they can have some kind of like before midnight situation where every 15 years.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
They get back together.
She needs to bring him
now
into
they're
TV.
mad at each other.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Bring him into a TV miniseries. She made the jump with Mare.
True.
Drag him into something there.
Right.
But yeah, I like the performances there. But I think I would still give it to Gangs of New York because that was fantastic, and that's him going toe to toe with one of the best actors.
Definitely. All right, so Gangs of New York will win that matchup. Let's talk about The Great Gatsby versus The Quick and the Dead. Quick and the Dead is a movie that I was hoping to catch up for this bracket. I've not seen it. Still did not get a chance to see it. But I don't really have any strong feelings about The Great Gatsby. His second collaboration with Baz Luhrmann, which is an adaptation of the F. Scott Fitzgerald novel. Also I think it was third collaboration with Tobey Maguire, if we're counting Don's Plum. Do either of you know? Did either of you see The Quick and the Dead?
Yeah, like a while ago though.
Yeah, I also saw it a while ago in my Western.
Anybody strong feelings about either of these movies? Because I do not have them.
I wouldn't say strong, but I don't mind the soundtrack.
I like The Great Gatsby a lot, actually.
Great Gatsby?
Yeah.
I'm a pretty big fan of Great Gatsby.
Sick. That's enough for me. I will give one factoid about The Quick and the Dead on our way out. Apparently, Sam Raimi was unsure about casting Leo in the movie, so Sharon Stone paid for his salary herself.
Wild.
Well, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I want to clarify, I double-checked really quick. I don't actually think Kate Winslet is shaded Leo. I don't remember who I'm talking about, but there was one of those iconic pairings that, like, the woman did not like.
So the door's still open.
The door's still open then. Yes.
Yeah,
the door is still open.
I hope so too. The next matchup is between Marvin's Room and Titanic. Marvin's Room is another one that I was hoping to catch up with, but just didn't find time for, and ultimately decided it doesn't really matter how much I like Marvin's Room. I don't imagine there's a world we're living in that it's going to lose to Titanic in the first round.
Yeah.
So Titanic.
Yeah, let's go with Titanic. Next matchup is Don't Look Up versus This Boy's Life. Art, you said you caught up with This Boy's Life for the bracket.
Hell yeah, dude. Everyone talks about this being the first movie that he starred in, like you were mentioning, handpicked by De Niro.
Yep.
A lot of shots in this that I feel like Paul Thomas Anderson was also pulling from. There's some winding roads in here. You got him out there with his Winchester shooting and stuff. And the cast is pretty decent because Toby is also in this one.
Yeah.
They also have Carla Gugino, very young. Elijah Dushku, who I know from Dollhouse, didn't even recognize her in the movie. And we were just mentioning Marvin's Room. He had this like streak of being the son of a single mother coming back and just starting stuff. And this is a better version of that, in my opinion. I think it's a pretty solid movie. There's a gay storyline in there, Amanda, in case you do rewatch it as well.
It. Like I like it a lot, actually. I haven't seen it in a while, but I do like it a lot.
Yeah. We haven't mentioned her by name, but she's also the son of Ellen Barkin in this movie, and she's fantastic in it. Who I know her best from Requiem for a Dream, but obviously a legend in her own right.
Mm-hmm.
This is a movie that was like an HBO staple for a little while when I was growing up. That's where I first encountered it. And, you know, it's a really, really effective version of like a somewhat familiar story of growing up under the guise of an abusive parent and having that strained relationship. But he's very good in it. De Niro's very good in it.
Yeah.
I am a bigger fan of Don't Look Up than most people. But I'm okay giving my vote to This Boy's Life here.
I'm going This Boy's Life.
I'd go that too, personally.
Right. Our next matchup is The Man in the Iron Mask versus The Departed. My dad really liked The Man in the Iron Mask when I was growing up, so I probably saw it like a couple more times than I needed to. I think the Scorsese movie is better. That's my hot take.
I actually remember liking Man in the Iron Mask a lot, or thinking it was really cool, but it doesn't really...
Good production.
Yeah.
It can't beat The Departed. That's just my thing. Unless we're talking about like originality, but even then.
Right.
Even
it's a
then,
solid kind of
then.
historical drama or whatever, but I think I would go with Departed personally. What's Eating Gilbert Grape versus Blood Diamond? 2 Oscar-nominated Leonardo DiCaprio performances. Arturo, which way are you leaning?
Gilbert Grape, bro. It's not even close for me.
Yeah, same.
What was the movie that came out the same year as Blood Diamond? 2006.
Was that Catch Me If You Can?
I feel like that's a little early for Catch Me If You
2002.
Can.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that. 2000. The Departed. The Departed.
The Departed. Yeah, I was so upset when he got nominated for this movie instead of The Departed. I think his performance is better in The Departed.
Yeah,
even like Revolutionary Road being 08, she got nominated for The Reader. And the reader was the reason why they had to change the rules.
Is it? I remember Blood Diamond being a big deal because, like, I feel like social consciousness was becoming a really big thing at the time. So it was just that whole idea, not cop social consciousness, like what we do to the world, social consciousness, and ego was getting really big.
Because I don't care for it that much either. I respect it. But
it's
people
a fun fact. I think
Blood
the book
Diamond.
is written by the same guy who did Body of Lies. I think it's the same book author for both of those.
To me, they were both kind of like, these aren't my Leo movies. Sandwiched in between The Departed? Nah.
Blood Diamond is like effective, but it's not necessarily like great in my memory. I know some people had like really strong emotional reactions to it. I think Jaimin Hansu, I feel like I remember him being very good in it as well. And speaking to what Amanda's saying about social consciousness, I don't know if this is like when most people learned about the whole idea of Blood Diamond, but it was sort of like a conversational through a breaking point, or tipping point or something like that.
All the way to Uncut Gems. I remember it being brought up, so she's not wrong. It was the go-to, like, like Blood Diamond. I hear that example all the time. I've used that example. Oh, it's like Blood Diamond.
Also, not Blood Diamond. It was a different book called Blood Money. See, me and my misinformation again. But yeah, no, either way, it's kind of how I feel. I feel like it was one of those ones that became a big deal because it made people like, oh, things come from places.
And it was a type blockbuster for what it was. And he really got nominated for this, bro.
Yeah, I mean, his South African accent in the movie is not the most convincing, I would say, but
rough.
He's a good actor. This is also perhaps one of the first hints that we get at the active social consciousness that Leonardo DiCaprio is trying to bring in his selections with his roles, like trying to not just star in like a star vehicles, but movies that are trying to say something too.
Zach, let me hit you with this.
Yeah.
You're saying about the Earth, activism. Blood Diamond, Lil Dicky's Earth.
Ooh, I should have manipulated the matchups to have that work.
I mean, one got half a bill, you know. I think this one did more for the Earth.
Yeah. Good point. I go Blood Diamond personally. Only one of them is Simon Hansu.
Lil Dicky and Brad Pitt, since we were talking about both of them, Lil Dicky's Brad Pitt collaboration in his show. If you have not seen that episode, absolutely wild. I can't believe both of these guys have worked with the man.
That's very funny.
Lil Dicky bracket coming up next month, ladies and gentlemen.
Our last matchup of the first round is between The Audition and The Wolf of Wall Street, 2 films directed by Martin Scorsese.
Nice.
Did you guys catch the Audition short film, or did you not have time to get around to it?
Didn't that cost? I feel like I saw a bunch of news about it like this morning randomly that it cost like $70 million to make or something.
Well,
I think it's a commercial.
It's a commercial for the opening of a casino in Macau, so it makes sense that they would drop obscene amounts of money on it.
That's very fair.
Not exactly the most stimulating. You do get some fun pitter-patter dialogue between Robert De Niro, Leo, and Martin Scorsese. Art, I feel like you probably appreciated it's not that you're competing, you're vying line.
Yes.
It's a very Arturo line.
Yeah. They're not bad in it. It's just like, what are you guys doing? Now it's being used against them because of, the new movie. And they're like, well, bro, you made this commercial for a hotel overseas. And, there might be an audition too, I heard. Because I think they're building another hotel.
That might be why it got mentioned today.
Yeah.
Hey, look, if that can
so I am picking it over The Wolf of Wall Street.
Look, if it can help fund Scorsese's next movie, I don't mind it. But I'm going to go with The Wolf of Wall Street.
Did you hear about how he funded The Wolf of Wall Street? That was new to me. I had no idea that Leo funded it himself. Like, he gathered all the money so that they wouldn't have to deal with having to film it the way the studio wants. And then they found out, like, shady people that he got the money from. So when I see him talking about going to the theaters for one battle at a time, I'm like, Leo, who'd you get the money from?
Who do you owe?
Who do you owe, buddy? So in theaters, one battle after
they're saying
another.
allegedly it was financed by money producer Riza Aziz stole from the Malaysian Development
Crazy
Sovereign Wealth Fund.
So it's on theme for The Wolf of Wall Street.
It is really on theme.
He stays in character.
Yeah. All right, so those are our first round matchups. Let's get into the Sweet 16.
Look at this.
These are some heavy hitters. The difficult matchups start soon. We're talking about Inception versus The Aviator.
Let's crush them, Zach. Let's crush them.
What is it? The 2010 Christopher Nolan classic?
Yes, 2010.
Yeah.
And then The Aviator, the 2004 Martin Scorsese film. The one that I kind of feel like he should have won his Oscar for. It felt like everything was aligned for it perfectly, and then classically they gave it to him for the next one, The Departed. This is an interesting one, and I think this might even be a time worth bringing up the whole idea of what is the point of a Leonardo DiCaprio movie bracket. Because if we're picking the best movie, that's one thing, but if we're picking the best Leonardo DiCaprio movie, I kind of feel like Leo's involvement is more integral to what makes The Aviator great.
That's fair. I think it's integral to both, but I'm willing to let you guys have The Aviator.
But
I like The
agree
Aviator
more with
actually. It's just Inception I was like a big fan of when it came out, but
it is so tight. That is a movie. Like,
that's a movie.
Has your fandom on Inception cooled, or has it just been a little while since you've
I think it's like
seen it?
I was so obsessed with it when it came out, and then like I guess, I don't know, I haven't watched it as much. It's still very good and very tight, but it's just like there's other movies from that year that I go back to way more that I'm like, this was such a bigger snub for XYZ reasons. Or like I was one person who came out like after Social Network won for a score being like, have you heard the booms from Inception? And now I'm like, no, that was the right call. The Academy was right that time. It's absolutely the soundtrack for the Social Network. But I love Inception, but I think I loved it so much out the gate that it almost had to cool, but
don't
change to Inception. Inception's fire.
Inception's great.
I think one of the things with Inception as well is like Nolan is a filmmaker that I think all three of us love. And at that point, that was sort of the biggest, maybe best thing he had done, that or The Dark Knight, right?
Yeah.
And the run he's been on since then. You know, you give your Interstellars, you have your Oppenheimers, for me and Art, at least Tenants. Like he's just,
everybody's got to have a dip.
He's had so many amazing films in succession that it maybe has made Inception seem less awesome by comparison.
But it's still incredibly impressive.
It is. It's incredibly impressive. It changed movie trailers for better or worse for the entire decade following. It was one of the first movies where I realized that whole internal thing of, directors pick people who they see themselves in. Right. And Leo is the perfect person to see yourself in. The idea of like, it's a great story, getting into people's thoughts, but also the idea of like, it's filmmaking. The dream sequences are scenes that start. It's just really beautiful. But The Aviator is one of the greatest performances from Leonardo DiCaprio.
For Leo, so we gotta.
You ask him to this day, even in this new run that he's doing for One Battle After Another, he keeps bringing it up, and it makes me so happy.
Hell
he goes, "That's the role I went all in for." Incredible ending too. 170 minutes. I wanted to fit it in because Alina hasn't seen it, but damn, 170 minutes. Dude.
I always forget it's that long.
Right.
Yeah. It's an epic.
But I do love that movie. I know there are Inception heads watching this right now. Please take this not as a diss to Inception, but
if
as
it was in another
bracket,
bracket, it would probably be going on. But you know,
But also, please watch The Aviator if you have.
Yeah.
It really is awesome.
And Leo is so awesome in it. So we'll give that one to The Aviator and talk about Killers of the Flower Moon versus Catch Me If
It's too difficult.
Can.
It's too difficult.
Very, very different Leo performances. Very, very hard to compare them.
I'm going Catch Me If You Can. I'm going to cut you off, Zach. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm dropping the bomb. I'm going Catch Me If You Can. For some of the same reasons we went Aviator over Inception. I think Catch Me If You Can is so incredibly just driven by him and his performance, whereas Killers of the Flower Moon, some other people kind of like one-up him. And he's just kind of, he's there and he's very important and he's very integral and it's a great performance. But like, I don't know, Catch Me If You Can's like, she's that girl.
Yeah.
She's that girl.
I concur. Amanda's right.
I concur. Do you concur?
I concur. You took the words out of my mouth. I really love Catch Me If You Can. I think Killers is an incredible, powerful movie. But there is something about the seductive quality of Catch Me If You Can that I really can't deny personally.
Fun fact, though, whole story is also a lie. He made up that story that he did that in his life. He didn't do that.
That's so funny.
That's what I mean. It keeps going. It keeps going.
They lie a lot.
They lie.
Yeah,
right?
the con men, they just like to lie. It's like Jordan Belfort's like right back at it too. It's like you can't trust these people.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Django Unchained versus One Battle After Another. This it might be the earliest historical film left on our bracket versus the most recent historical film on our bracket. I might be wrong there.
No,
but
you're right.
Django Unchained, you know, a rare supporting turn for Leo. Doesn't show up until about an hour into that movie as
He's so memorable.
As the fearsome Calvin Coolidge or Candy Coolidge. No.
Candy.
Candy.
Yeah,
Candy.
Yeah,
it's Candyland.
Because it's the Candyland. Yeah.
There we go. Versus my guy Bob Peterson in One Battle After Another. I'll start it off. I don't call it recency bias if you want. I'm going One Battle After Another.
It is an incredible performance, but I just feel like I have to acknowledge like how committed he was to Django. Like he broke a glass in his hand, was like bleeding out, and then like continued going. It's an incredible performance, but One Battle After Another probably doesn't work with other actors in that role.
I kept thinking about, because PTA has been working with Joaquin Phoenix so much, what that movie would have felt like with Joaquin in that role. And I think it still would have worked, but it's, like you said, such a different movie. And I don't know if I like that movie as much.
Yeah, I don't think so, because there's a weepiness to Leo in this one that would have felt too genuine coming from Joaquin. I mean, like, oh, this guy's actually going to, like, I don't know. There's something funny about Leo being like, versus like Joaquin being like, you probably cried for a solid 30 minutes going into this.
Joaquin, you feel like there's probably something wrong with him a little bit more on screen.
Yes. Yeah, more so than just like being very drunk and high, you know?
Yeah. Art, do you have a strong feeling between Django or One Battle After Another?
If it's a Leo bracket, I feel like the feature should win over, like you said, not the movie where he comes in an hour.
Right.
late into it, even though I do think that performance is
She makes it.
unbelievable.
It's an
But
unbelievable
I
performance.
gotta go with the feature. You know, I love Django Unchained. This one hurts me. But we all just saw one battle after another, Munchie.
Yeah.
When he goes, have you seen that bit where he goes to the not full spoilers here, but where he goes to the meeting with for the school, and he vapes, and the teacher's talking about dictators, and he goes, "Yeah, dictators everywhere."
Dictators everywhere. No, it's so funny.
Someone made the joke about like, why is this scene in the movie? And someone said it's a PTA meeting. One battle after another. One battle after another.
No, and that was such a good scene though, because again, it like let
It's
you
a
know
great
right
scene.
off the bat that this guy's in a very weird emotional state where he's like so hard ass, but then
So
also
good.
like will start crying in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You know?
It shows you so much about his character so quickly.
Yeah.
I love so much of that
It's
movie.
gotta be him. It's gotta be him. We're giving it to Ghetto Bob. Or Ghetto Pat. Ghetto Pat.
Ghetto
Pat.
Pat, yeah.
Romeo plus Juliet versus Shutter Island. Amanda, which one of these films do you think deserves to go to the next battle?
I think Shutter Island. I get everybody's gonna be like, no, I feel like probably should be Romeo plus Juliet. I just like Shutter Island more. So that's my thing there.
Yeah.
That's just me. I'm also weird though. I prefer Great Gatsby to Romeo plus Juliet, so I'm already an outlier in this bracket conversation as it is.
I think I agree with you.
I don't know. Shutter Island. I think it stayed. I feel like it stayed more relevant, even though Romeo plus Juliet has like just never not been relevant. If that makes sense. I think it's just like meme culture has let Shutter Island continue on more so. But
I mean, you know, I watched Romeo plus Juliet in prep for the bracket, and one thing that I noted was how I feel like Pete Postlethwaite is just running circles around Leo anytime that they're talking to each other. Like Leo is not necessarily the most natural at delivering the Shakespearean dialogue, and yes, he is like he's kind of a complete dreamboat in the movie, but like it's more.
I love describing. There's people who do Shakespeare that it sounds like they deliver the lines that people might not be comfortable with in a way that you understand what they're trying to convey based on the way they're talking. Right. And then there's people that are reading Shakespeare lines that you're like, you don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying. What's going on? And it was a little bit that sometimes.
So I'm kind of inclined to agree with you, Amanda. I might go Shutter Island here as well. Did we make the wrong decision?
I feel same about both of these movies. So
I'm
with you guys, Shutter Island.
Yeah, not a big Shutter Island guy, you said.
Yeah.
Again, me neither. So like some of that is like my love of the book kind of maybe giving it an edge too, but
Romeo plus Juliet has a lot of fans, so let us know. Let us know your love for that movie.
I'm sure people are going to be pissed as shit, but you know.
Oh no.
Thus is where we fall.
You were saying, Zach?
Shout out to my buddy Chris. We saw this movie together when we were in college and had one of the longest arguments of our entire relationship on the way home from this film. He hated Shutter Island, was like offended that Scorsese would even make something like it. And I think
was pretty upset coming out of it how much it did not feel as good as the book. So it's weird that I'm putting it ahead here now, but that's weird.
Your buddy's right.
Like
it's one of those first Scorsese movie came out with a Shyamalan movie, bro. Like,
well, I think it's one of those movies where like it's so similar to so many movies we've seen before, but it's Scorsese doing it, so there's some like amazing flair to it. But at the end of the day, like if you feel like you know where it's going, then it's not going to work as a suspense movie for you.
That's it.
But also, they saw a really good stand-up routine joke about it recently, so it's there you go. I can't remember his name right now. I'll share it later.
Oh, for sure.
We'll drop it in.
Mildly inappropriate.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood versus Gangs of New York. Tarantino versus Scorsese. And I think Gangs of New York is probably underrated given how much people overlook that in the Scorsese canon. That said, I still think it probably loses here to Once Upon a Time.
I agree with both of those statements.
I agree with you.
Even if you're just going Leo performance to Leo performance.
Yeah, even then.
I'm sorry, he is so good in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like that is fantastic.
Is there not an 8 whiskey sours joke in his newest movie, kind of?
Yeah. And I'm sorry, like the pointing has never not been a relevant meme. Not that memes matter, but like
it doesn't. But it's language now. Like
it is language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta go Once Upon a Time, man.
It's just a good movie.
Honestly, I just rewatched the scene for whatever reason where he's talking to Al Pacino when he's talking about the pictures.
What a great
He's
picture.
great in it. It literally reminded me of the Wolf of Wall Street scene with him and what's his name? And I was
Matthew
like, dude,
McConaughey.
yeah. So once upon a time.
Yeah, it's got to be that.
Any fond memories of Gangs of New York, either of you?
Remember watching it with my parents when I was a kid, and really, it was one of those movies where I was like, "Yeah, this is cool." So
I had an Italian couple that I used to stay with a lot, Tony and Jackie. He would put on AMC classics for me, so this was one of the ones that got brought up a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think this was the first
Great
movie
movie.
that I realized how incredible Daniel Day-Lewis was as an actor.
True.
Thank you,
This
bro.
is not the Daniel Day-Lewis bracket.
it's
Exactly.
not. It's the Leo bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Great Gatsby versus Titanic. Okay, Amanda, this is your chance.
No, it's not. It's not better than Titanic. I'm sorry. I do like Great Gatsby a fair amount. I like the style of it. I'm just kind of a fan of that particular story in general. Even though the book isn't, I don't love the book as much. I don't know. Fitzgerald's interesting, but I liked it. I like the way that Baz Luhrmann brought the style of it to life. I think it is kind of one of his better ones, I guess, in my opinion, in terms of blending like very classic style and like the roaring 20s with like what was really popular at the time culturally for us when it came out. So I do think it's really
was
good.
Producer on the
but it's not
soundtrack,
Titanic. Yeah, Jay-Z
not
producing,
Titanic.
it's not Titanic.
I mean, even Zach, look what you got in the front. It's such a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
Like, him doing the cheers is legendary.
And sure, he's the titular role in Gatsby, but like it is a Tobey Maguire movie more so than a Leo movie.
Right. So we'll pick the Leo movie, Titanic, to move to
But
the
he's
next
great in it,
round.
too. He's a really great Gatsby. He's a fantastic Gatsby, but it's not Titanic.
The greatest Gatsby. This Boy's Life versus The Departed. Arturo, which way should we go for this film?
The Departed.
Of course.
This Boy's Life is worth it, though. I was very happy to catch up on that one.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. Like, don't just wait.
really
It's just
good.
not The Departed.
Yeah, it's just not The Departed, but no, it's crazy that was your first movie with De Niro. And
That's crazy.
it still stands. But The Departed, as you know. Sheesh.
It's The Departed. That's one of those movies where people are like, man, I really want something. And like, I feel like there's most people you could recommend that to. Like, there's not many people that would just hate The Departed.
That movie's on, you're finishing it easily.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You're finishing it. Oh, so good.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape versus The Wolf of Wall Street?
This is
Amanda.
That's tough. That's tough. So you've got the one where he comes out the gate incredible to the point that people are like just amazed that he can act to that degree, to that level, how young and how little experience he had, versus what is arguably his greatest performance, or at least the one that like everyone was like, if he was going to win an Academy Award, why wasn't it here? We've gotten a few that are like defining moments, but these are just so. I think I still have to go Wolf of Wall Street though. Because it's so driven by him.
Yeah. I think it's easy.
Again, it's just the commitment to that character, everything going on in that movie. Gilbert Grape is amazing, and it's clearly one of the best of his career.
Top 3 performances for sure. But the rest of Gilbert Grape is not like the rest of Wolf of Wall Street.
That's exactly
everything else happening in that movie. We were talking about a movie that you have to watch if it's on. Yeah. That thing is 3 hours long, and you're still
flies. Locked in.
So. It moves.
Mm-hmm.
I was hearing him talk about the Quaalude scene, that he actually hurt himself because he didn't think they were going to do all the different setups, and Marty's like, what do you think we're doing? And hey, it's worth it.
It is worth it.
Absolutely. All right, we're moving back to the start of the bracket. 8 movies remain. We're talking about The Aviator versus Catch Me If You Can, 2 early 2000s roles for Leonardo DiCaprio as Howard Hughes and as Frank Abagnale Jr. Arturo, which one sticks out for you?
I'm going to leave it in y'all's court, bro, and give one to The Aviator.
I think Catch Me If You Can is incredible. It's also a Leo-driven movie. I get that obviously Tom Hanks is also in it, but that's Tom Hanks. If you can stand toe to toe with Tom Hanks in a movie and it be that good and that strong, and it goes and he's convincing across like multiple years as both being a high school student into adulthood with the same, I don't know, man, Catch Me If You Can. I just love it. It's incredible directing. It's got an incredible score, like the do-do-do-do. Like everything in that movie works. And I love the Aviator is still a very good movie. It's fantastic, but it's not Catch Me If You Can.
And Amy Adams in Catch Me If You Can.
And Amy Adams.
Fantastic.
There's a lot of really good like other like side character performances in that. Like
I
His
just
dad,
googled who
like
did the score for Catch Me If You Can, and of course it's John Williams.
John
As
Williams.
if a Spielberg
Yeah.
movie would not be John Williams,
John
especially
Williams.
I know that
But it's
guy.
also
score
a
that
John
good.
Williams that feels so different from what you're used to when John Williams gets a score. Like I can always tell it's like the whimsy in certain areas fits whatever it is, but this one felt so far outside the realm of what you're expecting and how like minimalist it was.
This is the only time that it was him and Spielberg, right?
That it was what?
That DiCaprio has worked with Spielberg, oddly enough, but it is such a great pairing.
It's great.
Wait, so what are you picking, bro?
I could put Earth by Lil Dicky. Look, this is real tough, right? Because we said this is Leonardo DiCaprio bracket, and I do think that maybe The Aviator is the better Leo performance. But
sure.
I don't know.
Catch Me If You Can.
But I do think Catch Me If You Can might be the better Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
And I think the
I
rest of Catch Me If You Can is strong enough to like
no, the rewatchability.
Yeah, that's what I
great
mean.
as The Aviator, but we're not tossing that bad boy on. Yeah.
And
I just need to give it love.
And the performances are so close to me in terms of their quality that I'm just gonna end up leaning towards the movie that I like more, that I want to revisit more, that I have revisited more. Aviator is amazing. Again, if you haven't seen it, worth catching
you
up
have to
with.
see it.
Catch Me If You Can is the winner here. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, one battle after another versus Shutter Island. Amanda, are you going with Shutter Island or
God no.
Okay.
Again,
awesome.
I said most of my Shutter Island love is because of how strongly I feel about the book, and I just like Leo's performance in it. But one battle after another is it's just that progression of like that character we've seen him kind of like developing since something like The Aviator and Catch Me If You Can into Wolf of Wall Street into One Battle After Another. So.
Yeah, it feels like the culmination of so many things in Leo's career for sure. All right. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood versus Titanic. This is a difficult choice. So I'm going to make Arturo do it first.
Maybe Titanic, dude. Just by a little.
I get it. It's hard I feel like you can't not put Titanic forward for a combination of reasons, but I do think he's a better performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Let me put you this.
Yeah.
When they do the in memoriam DiCaprio acting,
it's going to say Titanic.
I was going to say, I think it starts with the scene of him in his trailer in Once Upon a Time. I kind of think that's
it's going to end on
not
Titanic.
If he drinks
it's going
himself
to
to death,
end on
Zach.
Titanic with the toast.
But if he drowns, they won't do Titanic. So really just
it just depends how he dies.
It depends how he dies.
I could go either way here. I do think because it's a Leo bracket, Titanic almost feels like it has to go forward just because of the combination of like the cultural effect, his performance in it. But I do actually think he's better in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I'm a big fan of that movie. But I'm also a big Tarantino fan. So,
yeah.
But it's like everything in that movie is just fun. But it's Titanic. It's Titanic.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking cultural impact, it probably has to be Titanic. Although,
I think because it's also a great movie too.
It is a great movie. Yeah,
you know, it is what you know. I hate to do it, but
but
I love to do it. I feel like if I put forward the movie I like more, I would feel bad that Titanic didn't go forward. So.
All right, so we're going with the James Cameron movie over the Quentin Tarantino film. And now we're choosing between a couple different Scorsese movies.
This is the finale. What are we doing?
Versus The Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, very easily could be the final. We do have three other really good movies left. Which is your favorite Scorsese DiCaprio collaboration? It's probably got to be one of these, right?
Yeah, it's called Wolf of freaking Wall Street, bro. Let's go.
Yeah.
I think it probably does have to go Wolf of Wall Street, but I just cannot underscore how great The Departed is and how honestly that role for him feels a little bit different than what we're used to seeing from him. It's an incredible performance, but he's not doing the heartthrob thing. He's not doing like the wacky guy thing. He is like a very, very convincing like undercover cop. Yeah. And just like that more like reserved nature, the strong stoicism that you don't usually see from a Leonardo DiCaprio role. Like normally the Matt Damon role would be, you would expect Leo to act more like the Matt Damon role.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's also the paranoia in The Departed, which is something that has continued throughout his more recent career. He delivers that so well. And since we're not getting the matchup of this versus One Battle After Another, I do think they're both really good exemplars of Leo doing incredible cell phone acting. Not a lot of actors can be as compelling just delivering lines into a phone, but he's just, you can't take your eyes off of him.
Definitely made the marketing the phone. He goes, you will remember this one.
Remember this one.
Also, in the context of you bringing up early on Mark Wahlberg and them being together in Basketball Diaries, what a matchup with these two in The Departed, dude. It's one of my favorite Mark Wahlberg performances as well. So,
absolutely. That's not, no offense. I like Mark Wahlberg and a lot of the things he does, but to say it's his, it's not, you know.
Yeah,
we're talking about best Daniel Day-Lewis performances you were talking about.
or even Leo, not as much competition as the Leo bracket.
That's true.
Yeah. Right, we're down to our final 4, and they are 4 films from 4 different Titanic directors. Catch Me If You Can from Steven Spielberg, One Battle After Another from Paul Thomas Anderson, Titanic from James Cameron, and The Wolf of Wall Street from Martin Scorsese. Pretty fitting that such legends of cinema are present in the final 4 for Leonardo DiCaprio, himself a legend of cinema. Let's start it off with Catch Me If You Can versus One Battle After Another. And this one is very, very difficult for me.
This is
a lot of
me.
recency bias for sure. But wow, these are 2 really great movies and 2 movies that are largely built on the strength of a DiCaprio performance.
Yeah.
Dude, look at it. First of all, the final 4. Titanic is 90s.
It's great. Yeah.
Catch Me If You Can is 2000s.
Yep.
Wolf of Wall Street is 2010s, and One Battle After Another is 2020s.
That's what I mean. He's got such a, and honestly, in a different bracket, like we could have had something like even like earlier than Catch Me If You Can, you know, or earlier than Titanic.
Gilbert Grape could have been in there.
Gilbert Grape,
very
like
easily.
Really early 90s.
That's like
this is a career.
Yeah.
And it's also a good mix of his abilities.
So I'm going to choose peace and say no more brackets after another, and just award all 4 of these.
We could just make these 4 the Mount Rushmore.
Kind of should. It kind of should.
I got 3 of these movies on this list right here. I think maybe all 4 of them are 4.5 star movies for me.
Yeah.
So I agree. Catch Me If You Can. I'll be the first one to throw it out there.
Honestly, I was going to go Catch Me If You Can. And maybe it's because I need to see One Battle After Another more times to see if it can get to, but like, obviously Catch Me If You Can just has the benefit of being around for so long and being such a like, that's like, for me, that's like a movie. If it comes on, I'm going to watch it. If I'm on a plane, I can put that on anytime and be like enthralled from start to finish, even if I just saw it 3 weeks ago. One Battle After Another, I've only seen it once, you know? It is fantastic, but I think we got to go Catch Me If You Can.
I think there's a real chance that I'm ultimately going to come down on the side of One Battle After Another. I'll give it my vote here because both of you have given it to Catch Me If You Can. But yeah, it just doesn't. We just haven't had the time to marinate with One Battle After Another the way that we have with Catch Me If You Can. So it feels weird. I feel like it's wrong to choose the movie that came out a week ago versus the movie that we've been rewatching for 20 years.
That's fair.
But I think Catch Me is a great finalist here for sure. Let's put it up against Titanic versus Wolf of Wall Street. And for me, I just think this is Wolf of Wall Street. I just think this mode of Leo performance is the one I'm more interested in and the one that I think fewer people are capable of pulling off. As much as Titanic is obviously like a hugely influential movie, I think it's got to be Wolf of Wall Street.
I agree with that. If we're talking Leo performance, like if you're taking everything into account, even if you're going cultural relevance, just the general vibe of it, and then it's really coming down on his performance, I think it comes out on top. Obviously, Titanic is a bigger deal. It's a bigger thing. James Cameron can suck it. I'm probably going to go Wolf of Wall Street because like my thing is like I wouldn't have given Leo a best acting award for Titanic necessarily. I would have seeing him nominated would have been one thing. I don't even think he was nominated.
He was not.
But I wouldn't have given him for it. Whereas the fact that he didn't get it for Wolf of Wall Street was like it was egregious. It is one of the most egregious snubs of our time.
They ended up giving him the gold and we still bring up the snub.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because it was like, it's kind of sucks for the Revenant because it's like your accomplishments aren't even a thing actually because everybody assumes it was like, fuck, we fucked up. He did a really good job in this one. Give it to him.
And then our final is going to be Catch Me If You Can versus The Wolf of Wall Street. These are probably like at least top 5, if not top 3 for me. And not easy to make a choice between them. I think I'm just going to barely give the edge to Wolf of Wall Street here.
You got to give it to, it was the sides, Zach. The sides are what did it, Zach. That's what ran up the bill, Zach. Wolf of Wall Street. Baby.
And while I loved, you know, I have to concur. Even though I'd love to concur on a different
concur?
movie, I think I have to concur that it's Wolf of Wall Street, even though I love Catch Me If You Can. But to me, these are both similarly rewatchable movies. Like if they're on, I'm going to watch either one of them. Obviously, one of these is much more watchable with like anybody. Like, Wolf of Wall Street's great. Somebody's going to snort cocaine out of a hooker's ass within 5 seconds, but it's just, make it past that with your parents and you're golden.
Right.
Kind of, maybe not really, but
and then the airplane.
Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street's Wolf of Wall Street, man.
It is. It's so good.
I know that it kind of sucks. I think Zach, you might have been the one that told me this, that they had to let Jordan Belfort in at the end. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let them do the story. And I just think that it's kind of like fucked up to give that guy any kind of platform at any time for any reason. But yeah.
But still, the movie is such a incredible piece of cinema and an undeniable piece of cinema. And so much of it is on that incredible performance from Leonardo DiCaprio.
True. He made it seem cool enough that people are still falling for Jordan Belfort scams to this day.
Right. And it's interesting too, because like we talked about how Leo has sort of uglied himself up for a lot of these performances, but it is a later Leo role that is still using his good looks in sort of a more deceptive way, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Now he looks like a wolf, actually. In a lot of his most recent stuff.
Yeah.
But even between that, Oba, Catch Me If You Can, it's law enforcement being incompetent over and over and over.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Right, those are great.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of great movies that we just talked about, but The Wolf of Wall Street is the one that reigns supreme. Do either of you have like a top 5 for Leo performances? I wrote down a quick top 10 that I can work through real quickly. I got Revenant way down at number 10. I was debating between putting that and Django on as my last one, but I ultimately went with The Revenant. Titanic at 9, Departed at 8, Gilbert, Grape at 7, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at 6. Then top 5 would be Killers of the Flower Moon, Catch Me If You Can, Wolf of Wall Street, The Aviator, and right now I got One Battle After Another. I'm just so hype on that movie. I don't know.
It is very good.
Him and it.
It is very good. If I did a 5, they wouldn't be in order, but it'd be, Catch Me If You Can, Wolf of Wall Street, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. His performance in Inception, I think, is really great as well. Did I say Departed? Yes, I did. I'll go Django.
Nice.
Yeah.
Earth by Lil Dicky, and then followed by
Dawn.
I got my 3: Aviator, and then Wolf and Gilbert.
Oh yeah,
tied. I think those are like the 3 best performances that he's done. And then to still see that there's that much more to follow that's incredible.
All right, so we want to hear what you think are the best Leonardo DiCaprio performances. Leave us a comment or shoot us an email, intercutpod@gmail.com. You can reach out to us across social media and check the description for this episode to a link to the atzshow.com where the bracket lives, and you can download your own and fill it out. Send us your version. Love to see people make their own decisions and come up with their own final fours. Love to see whatever people choose for their favorite Leonardo DiCaprio performances. But that's all for this week's show. Our show theme is Green Lightning by Cal Sendry. Thanks to them for letting us use it, and find more of their music at the link in our episode description. You can catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by following me on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd at ZShevich. That's ZSHEVICH. And check out my videos wherever you find videos at Multiplex Show. Amanda, what's the last Leonardo DiCaprio movie you covered on your channel?
Oh man, might have been Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, maybe time for some One Battle After Another.
Could be.
At some point. Where can people find those videos?
At Amanda the Jedi on YouTube. I'm also on Letterboxd, Instagram, and Twitter. All at Amanda the Jedi.
Nice. Yeah, you got at least reviews on Letterboxd of Leonardo DiCaprio movies since then.
Yeah.
Art, how about you? What's the last Leo movie you think you covered for LME?
Killers.
Oh, right. You did an excellent Killers video. I remember that one.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I would have talked about Killers, but not a full video.
Right. So yeah, make sure to catch up with Art's Killers video and other upcoming videos on LME movies.
Go Cubs.
You can listen to every episode of the Intercut podcast on iTunes, on Pocket Casts, on Spotify, whatever podcast you use. I use Overcast. And make sure you subscribe not just to the audio podcast, but the video feed as well on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/IntercutPod, where you can watch our aging out of Leo's demographic faces as we run through the latest in entertainment. Find new episodes of Intercut every Monday, and please leave us a comment, like the videos, and consider heading over to iTunes or Spotify. Give us the much requested 5-star review. Like our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter pages, support our Patreon. You can find all of them at Intercut Pod to get updates throughout the week from Art, from Amanda, from me, from all the guests that we feature here on Intercut. And check out the link to our Discord server in the description of this episode to keep the conversation going in between episodes. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, I'm not fucking leaving.